up on this edition of ATV News.
Shots fired, shots fired.
After gunshots at a Logan motel, we'll tell you what police say the shooter wanted.
This highway construction might slow you down when you're in your car, but it could keep you safer when you're not.
We'll show you who's battling it out for the last word in a woolly situation.
I'll show you why Utah State's weirdest win of the season is worth seeing again.
You may want to bundle up this Thanksgiving holiday. I'll tell you why in weather.
All that and more, this is ATV News.
Welcome to ATV News. I'm Haley Hendricks.
And I'm Josh Witzel. A man is in jail after being arrested in front of a Comfort Inn in Logan.
Shots fired, shots fired.
That is what came over the scanner Sunday evening after police say a 20-year-old male fired a gun in his car after being pulled over by Logan PD. Logan police say the male was suicidal and intoxicated. No one was hurt, but the male was taken to the hospital for a mental health check and then was booked into Cache County Jail on several charges. The charges are reckless endangerment, open container, intoxication, driving under the influence, minor in consumption, and an interference with arrest charge. All the charges are misdemeanors.
A family in Smithfield is safe after their house caught fire. Firefighters from multiple agencies responded to a house fire last week. The first reports said the house was fully involved, but as you can see, the fire was on the inside. Officials have not yet told us the cause of the fire.
A man is in jail today after police suspected him of sexually abusing 4 young girls over the past 20 years. According to Logan City Police, detectives began investigating Rand S. Meyerhofer after one of the alleged victims told her mother that the suspect had molested her. Police say 4 more victims came forward since the investigation began. The girls range in ages from 8 to 11 years during the time that they say the abuse occurred. The Cache County Attorney's Office charged him with 4 counts of aggravated sexual abuse of a child, which is a first-degree felony, and voyeurism, which is a Class B misdemeanor. The charges carry a sentence of up to life in prison. Police say Meyerhofer has previously been convicted of multiple drug and theft crimes.
A former South Cache Middle School teacher has admitted to seducing a teenage student online. Police say Dwayne F. Berman began chatting online with a student in December and encouraged her to engage in sexual activity with him. On Thursday, Berman took a plea deal, pleading guilty to 2 counts of enticing a minor over the internet. Berman's sentencing is scheduled for January.
PETA took a stance against wool, and now the Utah Wool Growers Association is answering back. Caitlin Rinless-Baker shows you what all the noise is about.
Recently, PETA advertised this billboard in Salt Lake City, saying that we're individuals, we're not sweaters, wear something vegan. PETA also wrote on their blog about the sheep shearing process, saying that, paid by volume, the shearers worked at breakneck speed and severely cut the sheep. But according to Sierra Nelson, it is cruel and inhumane to not shear sheep. She also says that when shearing, there is a possibility of nicking the sheep if they wiggle around a lot. Nelson says if a wound is more serious, the sheep is treated immediately, and
if that's happened more than once, we don't work with that shearer again.
Topics that involve livestock, in this case sheep, can often be controversial, but it's important as consumers to understand both sides of the story.
On PETA's website, they show images of sheep being mistreated, something that Nelson says members of the Utah Wool Growers Association would never stand for. PETA released a video showing sheep from the Red Pine Land and Livestock, a Utah-based ranch, being sheared and then whipped in a corral. According to Nelson, there is one problem with PETA's claims against Red Pine Land and Livestock.
The funny thing about the video is it's not even their sheep that are being shown in the video as mistreated.
Caitlin Rinless-Baker, ATV News.
According to the Agricultural Marketing Resource Center, Utah is one of the top 5 states for wool production in the United States.
Logan City is constructing a connecting trail to make your path from campus to First Dam safer. Construction workers at the mouth of Logan Canyon blocked off one southbound lane on Highway 89 to work on the Canyon Connector Trail project. The new trail will connect the north side of USU to the tunnel of the Bonneville Shoreline Trail that leads people to First Dam.
We have one, safer ways for people to use recreational trails, and two, it's to also provide for alternative means of transportation.
Akina says you should be able to use this trail by the end of June. Well, I don't know about you, but all those people who like hiking and biking and all sorts of things that you could do will be wonderful for people to be able to get from campus to First Dam.
Definitely, people that like the outdoors will be really happy with this.
Exactly.
When we come back, not one, not two, we'll show you how many new choices you might have to need next time you fill up on gas.
And these students want you to reconsider your shopping habits and are making something you might need sooner than you think.
The roads may be clear now, but that's going to change later this week. I'll tell you after the break. The current temperature is 47 degrees.
Body language. Without saying a word, it can tell you so much. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time. Time to call 911 immediately. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Learn the body language, the sudden signs, and spot a stroke fast.
Welcome back to ATV News. The number of Maverick gas stations in Cache Valley will increase by about 50% before the end of the month. Nicole Heap shows you where the new locations are and how Maverick employees say it could affect you.
This is North Logan's Maverick Open House, where there's free pizza and Bobber the Clown is greeting guests. And this isn't the only Maverick opening in Cache Valley.
There are 3 more starting up in the next 2 weeks, one right here in South Logan, another right here where Aggies Station used to be, and the 4th one is out here in Franklin, Idaho.
According to Maverick's Vice President of Marketing, Maverick employees like these are friendly and know their customers.
We offer our customers an experience that's really different than anything else you can get at other convenience stores. Just the environment of the store and our fresh food and what we have to offer that way.
I would like to say that we probably don't compare to other gas stations.
Crowds of people coming to Maverick is something the district manager hopes will continue at the new locations.
If you live on the south end, if you live on the north end, east or west, you'll just have so many opportunities, and it's just more convenient for people to stop into.
Nicole Heaps, ATV News.
A grand opening celebration for the 300 South and Main Street Maverick will be on December 13th. Maverick employees hope to see you there.
With Thanksgiving break this week, you probably have plans to go home. The USU Health and Wellness Center wants you to be safe while you're driving. They set up a booth in the library to get students to pledge to not drive distracted when they travel for Thanksgiving. They say there are more things that can distract you while driving than you may realize.
Being on your phone, even eating, doing your makeup, just anything that deters you from looking at the road.
Even if you did not take the pledge, put down the distractions and travel safe, Aggies.
Maybe you have met a U.S. immigrant, but I bet you haven't read their memoir. A crowd listened to Jose Orduña read a chapter from his memoir, The Weight of Shadows, about his journey immigrating to the U.S.
Words are important, very important, but I think that also if you look at the history of writers and activism, sometimes they put down the pen and sometimes they hit the streets.
Orduña is an assistant professor of English at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
You may not be able to use a bag like this if a new initiative passes next year, but there is an alternative. Zachary Aedo joins us live to tell us about reusable bags. Hi, Zach.
Hey, Josh. That's right. There is an alternative that a group of USU students are working on. Over the weekend, they made about 50 of these reusable cotton bags, and they're hoping to give it out in grocery stores in the next 3 weeks. And they say that it's also going to be better for the environment than these single-use plastic bags. Here's how. These students are sewing reusable tote bags, and Nick came up with the idea.
We're doing this in response to the ordinance that is coming through City Council right now to ban plastic bags here in the city of Logan, Utah.
A plastic bag ban that this council member supports.
This is an important message to our community. It's an important step for us, for our children, for our grandchildren.
If the proposal passes, Logan would be the third city in Utah to ban plastic bags, following Park City and Moab. So through teamwork, they're sewing together reusable bags for people to use.
This is something that they will be able to have for many years. The convenience is so minor compared to the impact that you can have.
It simply is a pivot into a just more sustainable and better future.
Every time you use the grocery store's plastic bags, the EPA says that you'll most likely only use it once and then throw it away. But if you remember to bring a reusable bag when you go to the grocery store, then you'll save the local landfill from hundreds of plastic bags each year.
Do we right here in our community want to be known as Trash Valley or Cash Valley? For me, it's an easy call, even if it costs a little more money.
Olson says that the City Council will discuss the new proposal sometime in December, but he hopes if it passes that it will be enacted on April 22nd of next year. That also happens to be Earth Day. The OPDD students will also be handing out these bags, as I said earlier. They'll be handing them out in grocery stores in about 3 weeks or so. Back to you, Josh.
Thanks, Zach. I'll have to check that out.
There have been 344 suicide threats and attempts and 30 completions valley-wide since January 1st, according to Logan City Police. But it never used to be their job until mental health services began getting overwhelmed, causing suicide calls to fall in an officer's line of duty.
Shots fired, shots fired. Copy, shots fired. 1929. Roll me, give me 1078, 1033.
Cops are responding after a man fires his gun in a possible attempt at suicide by cop.
Rescue 70, engine 70, respond on a medical suicide.
And cops respond to another call of a man who was threatening suicide. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States and the 8th in Utah, according to the Utah Department of Health.
Well, perhaps then we can think of what else you could do to keep yourself safe. Just to get through until morning at least.
This crisis hotline video shows a worker talking a caller through their suicidal thoughts.
Here in Utah, getting mental health help is just a phone call away, but it can also be weeks away.
I reached out to mental health clinics to see if a therapist would do an interview, and I got unreturned calls and waitlisted. But being waitlisted for someone with a mental illness isn't an option. They don't have time to wait.
Hi, I'm just wondering what the wait time is for a therapy session for mental illness.
Calling 7 different mental health clinics in northern Utah, I found wait times to be shocking.
So my therapists right now, 3 of them have about an 8-week wait list for new patients, and then one of my therapists has about a year wait list for new patients.
It's hard to tell, though. You have you'd have to fill out a new client enrollment application, and then someone will give you a call back in 1 to 2 business days to get something set up.
We are about a week and a half, 2 weeks out right now.
Right now we are taking names and information for the spring semester, unless it's a crisis.
People who are living with a mental illness say going through the process of getting into a mental health care center is tough.
To put in so much effort and to keep calling the office and to figure out a day where you're not in school or you're not at work and to where they don't have other patients is truly exhausting.
Playing her guitar, Robert says she's happy with her life. But after her first semester at Utah State, she wasn't.
I had depression and anxiety and OCD.
And if she hadn't gotten help,
I wouldn't be here. I would be dead. I know that for sure.
But because she did.
I'm slowly learning that I am someone of importance and that I belong.
As an advocate for mental health awareness, Robert says wait times for mental health care are too long.
You feel so alone and hopeless and scared that the fact that you have to wait that long to go get professional help is super concerning.
Even though there are long wait times for mental health services, you can still get help by calling the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at the number below.
You know, it's good they have these services available for people that need it.
It definitely is, and seasonal depression is a huge issue. I wish people could get in sooner.
Yeah, and it's not only seasonal depression, but it's people who are experiencing depression year-round, and I think that would be wonderful if people could find a way to get in sooner.
We have Shani Howard here to tell us about the weather. How are things looking for this week, Shani?
Well, it is definitely very cold, and it's only going to get colder. But before we look at how cold it's going to get this week, let me go ahead and show you guys what the weather looks like now as people travel home for Thanksgiving over at the weather station. Right now, as we can see, we have quite a bit of activity over here on the East Coast. However, that shouldn't stop you from catching a flight or your flight coming in at all if you're headed over that way. On the West Coast, however, we have barely any storms in the Utah area. California is seeing a little bit of precipitation, and they definitely need it. But that's today's weather. Let's go ahead and look at our 7-day forecast to see driving conditions in the future. Yeah. So on Wednesday, which is our warmest day this week, we have a high of 47 and a low of 34. And as we move throughout the week, we start to see some rain on Thursday and Friday. And coming up on Saturday, we start to see some snow coming in. Sunday, we start to see that clear out a little bit. However, the temperatures that you see with 12 and 13 are going to stay cold. And on Monday is the perfect day to drive back home. However, those temperatures are still low. So still low, and then we have some clouds coming in on Tuesday. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks so much, Shani.
You know, I'm looking forward to the snow. It's getting cold. I'm ready for it to come through.
I don't know about that. I enjoy a little bit of the warmer temperatures and no snow on the ground, even if it is cold.
So what do we have to look forward to in sports, Bronson?
Well, we had a lot of action on the hardwood last week, but I'll show you how men's basketball rocked the stadium.
And we'll show you how Aggie Queens and Kings had Utah State students on their feet.
These people are waiting for something delicious. We'll show you what it was and where you can find it.
So how much longer do you think we're going to be studying for?
Probably another hour or so.
Okay.
Yo, what's up, Mark? What's up? How you doing? Good. What you doing? Picking some stuff up?
Yeah, just get some stuff to make dinner for Rachel.
Oh man, that's why you're an awesome boyfriend. Thank you. See you later.
All right, see you.
Where have you been? Do you know how long I've been waiting? I don't care. What did you even get? You don't do anything right. Is that what I said? What are you good for? You're such an idiot. You know, you drive me crazy. I've been texting you, you don't respond to me. You make me talk to you this way. This isn't what I want. You do this. You're the dumb one. Why am I with you?
Colorado State has to get a touchdown. Hill, this will be the final snap toward Williams.
Got it!
He caught it! He caught it! Touchdown, Colorado State!
Wow.
They win it!
Colorado State thought that was the winning touchdown, but the Aggies are still undefeated in the Mountain West Conference. Let's take a look at that again. CSU receiver Preston Williams steps out of bounds right here and comes back in to catch the ball, which is an illegal touching call. The 14th ranked Utah State Aggies barely slid by with the win. I'm Bronson Teichert with ATV Sports. Let's take a look at the rest of the game. Jordan Love threw for 169 yards on the day. His favorite target was senior wide receiver Ronquavion Tarver, who caught 6 passes for 69 yards, and he had to fight for every single one of those yards. The only offensive touchdown would be Jordan Love to Aaron Vaughn's as he makes a move and walks into the end zone. Junior running back Gerald Bright led the Aggies on the ground with 89 yards. Here he is breaking another tackle. Bright on the run as he powers through the defense for a first down. But it was the defense that stepped up this week with a big hit by DJ Williams. And then Aaron Wade being in the right place at the right time for this 95-yard interception for a pick 6. He would go on to notch 4 tackles and 1 assist. The CSU Rams on their own 32-yard line. Rams quarterback throws, and it's intercepted by Jontrell Rockamore, who brings it in for 6 more defensive points. The Aggies would go on to win 29-24 thanks to the penalty at the end of the game. With that, Mountain West Conference wrapping up its football schedule this week, and Utah State escaping Fort Collins with a win over the weekend, they control their path to the title game. Celebrations like these and touchdowns like this have fueled the Aggies to a 10-game winning streak and a lead in the Mountain Division. Fresno State has clinched the West Division. They will play the winner of the Mountain Division in the Mountain West title game. Boise State is 1 game behind Utah State. The winner of the game between the Aggies and Broncos determines who wins the Mountain Division. Utah State plays Boise State at Albertson Stadium Saturday at 8:15 p.m. USU men's basketball took on Utah Valley Wolverines this weekend at home and faced St. Mary's last night in Las Vegas. Against UVU, Sam Merrill had 14 points on the night, including this jumper from the paint. Quinn Taylor had his 3rd career double-double. That included 10 points and a career-high 15 rebounds. Sophomore guard John Knight III had his 3rd and 4th dunks of the season. He ended this one that came from his own steal. Nehemias Keita and Dwayne Brown Jr. also had dunks on the night. The team finished shooting only 36.2%, and Coach Craig Smith wasn't happy about it.
I went to the dentist about 2 weeks ago, and I didn't have to have a root canal, but tonight I felt like I had a root canal watching us on offense in the half court for a while. But the one thing that travels every night is defense.
The defense held the Wolverines to just 17 of 55 from the field and out-rebounded them 50-37. The winning continued for men's basketball last night against St. Mary's in Las Vegas at the MGM tournament. Overall, the Aggies are now 6-4 against St. Mary's, and this win made it 5 straight wins to start this inaugural season for head coach Craig Smith. Freshman Nehemias Keita soared 24 points and got 9 boards and 5 blocks, the most we've seen from men's basketball since the 2014-2015 season. Junior Sam Merrill scored in double digits for the 10th game in a row, continuing a trend he started last year. The men will stay on the road for another game in Vegas. Then next Wednesday will take on Northern Iowa in the D. Glenn Smith Spectrum. Women's basketball is preparing for their game against in-state rival BYU tonight. And last year, the Aggies beat the Cougars for the first time in over 27 years. Amy Harris and most of the squad from last year's 76-69 win is returning for this year's matchup, but most of the coaching staff is new to this rivalry.
Rivalry games, it doesn't matter. You know, obviously I'm not from Utah. I don't know the rivalry between BYU and Utah State, but, you know, Washington State and UW, they're a big-time rivalry, so I know the importance. I mean, it is like a year of bragging rights. It's a year of, like, puffing your chest up, like, so it's important.
BYU is 2-1 so far this season, and the Aggies have the same record. The game starts at 7 p.m. in the D. Glenn Smith Spectrum. USU hockey played 4 teams in 4 days this weekend in the Beehive Showcase. Their last game played Sunday against the Dakota College Jacks from Bottineau, North Dakota. Dakota College makes 3 unanswered goals against Utah State in the first period, and they would add a 4th unanswered goal at the beginning of the second. Still in the second period, the Aggies work on a small comeback. Decker passes the puck, who makes the assist to Blauer, and they are on the board. Next goal comes fast from Kirk Vallee, making it 4-2 score, but that would be it for USU. Dakota College scores 4 more goals. Aggie did put up a fight. You can see number 28, Doyle, sprawling out to try and block this goal. 2 fights at the game. Dakota's number 23 got a 2-minute penalty here. And for this fight, USU's Jesse Geyer is ejected from the game. Head coach CJ Westlake says the team will be focusing on defense after this matchup, but says communication was a key factor in last week's losses.
Talk it out. Next time, you're going to pick your head up and look. Next time, you're going to talk, right? Yeah. Okay, got it? We got it? We're on the same page now? We're good.
There's not enough communication between the boys, and that's where we're finding holes, and good teams capitalize on that, and that's just what happened this weekend.
Thanks for watching ATV News. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Bronson. It was loud, proud, and the crowd on their feet. ATV's Shani Howard lets the performers tell you more about Utah State's first drag show.
Utah State's very first drag show, come on!
Well, we didn't expect it to be this big. I think I was just really happy that Utah State community would be this supportive.
Drag is a sphere of art. It's a way for people to express themselves where you normally couldn't.
What's great about drag is it's open to anyone, no matter if you're part of the LGBT community or not.
Drag king is very much putting out that masculine persona and, you know, showing dudes how to be a dude.
For everyone that would like to be involved in drag, I would say reach out to members in the community.
From the drag show on our Facebook page.
Have you sat next to someone in church who doesn't have the same religion as you? That could easily happen at this Cash Community Connections service. People of different religions gathered at the Logan Tabernacle for musical performances, prayers, and inspirational messages from people throughout the community. The event focused on gathering everyone together as a family. This is the 16th annual Interfaith Thanksgiving service.
Finals week might be easier for you now that the Aggie Chocolate Factory is open for business. The Aggie Chocolate Factory could be seeing lines like this now that specialty chocolate is ready to buy. People cheered for the ribbon cutting, but they were probably more excited to be one of the first to buy chocolate, brownies, and cookies from the new USU Food Science Chocolate Lab.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
If the lines are long,
it's sweet, no pun intended.
I'm excited for it when finals come around.
As a chocolate connoisseur, I love, like really good chocolate.
Oh, I'm excited.
I feel like I'm gonna gain 100 pounds.
Definitely worth coming early.
If the lines are long, you can pass the time by looking through these observations windows at the chocolate making process.
Thanks for joining us on this edition of ATV News.
We'll leave you with a performance from the USU Drag Show. Happy Thanksgiving, Aggies.